Guys, how is the second day of 2025 for you so far? Anyway, I feel it's just the same. It's not, there's nothing really different or out of the blue. Well, technically, it's just the same. But schools are opening next week, yeah? So being a teacher, I'm tired. And I'm taking on behalf of, not that we hate what we do, but when you're going back to school, there's just a lot of things. When back to school is mentioned, you just think on the part of the students. But do you ever think of what the teachers actually go through? Because this means having to get your register in check, being a class teacher, writing all those names on, the manual register, because that is what we still have. But I thank God that my class finished last year, so that baggage is out for this year for me. Being a class teacher is hard. Anyway, you're talking about registers, you're talking about writing lessons plans, you're talking about, you know, making schemes of work. And then in our school, we make our own exams. So you have to teach whatever you're going to, cite whatever you're going to teach. It's just a lot of work. And that means going to classes in the morning, during the day, and in the evening, because it's a boarding school. So when we teach like that not all the time per se, but it's almost like all the time, like we keep the students engaged. It means that at least they're contained, because students think a lot of the times out of the box. If they're not contained, there'll be a lot of noise, and they can start thinking of doing other things that are not important for them, like burning schools. It happens. But anyway, um back to school is hard, and it's not only hard for pupils, it's definitely hard for the teachers. Teaching is not easy, guys, because when you think about teaching, you have to think of being able to teach and your students also understand, because it's so disappointing when you teach and your students fail. Let me tell you, teachers do feel bad when students fail, because you've given everything you had. You probably used the techniques you could think of just to ensure that they're able to grasp all that you wanted to teach them. But if they fail, it means you as a teacher might have failed somewhere, though you feel you've done something. So if you fail, you also feel like you failed, and that is what we don't want. Teachers always want the students to pass, because when they pass, we're also being awarded in one way or the other. And who doesn't want awards? So aside, challenges of teachers doing their work, have you ever dealt with students who are tough-headed? I mean, it's a school, so we obviously have students who don't listen to teachers, and that is also annoying. Going back to school and finding like you're giving instructions and the students don't follow. Let me tell you, it's hard, guys. It's hard. Being a teacher is, that's why teachers were always, being judged harshly. Even the Bible says so. So we have to be very keen. We're dealing with young lights, but sometimes, guys, there are just some students who are annoying, and I'm not saying in a bad sense, but these are just the challenges we face everywhere. In any kind of workplace, there's always the challenges of that specific workplace, and being a teacher in school, having to deal with students who don't listen is definitely one of them. And sometimes there are classes that are so hard to teach. Hard to teach in the sense that you give your all, you teach the students, but either the students don't answer questions, you ask questions in class, they're just looking at you like you're mentioning something for the first time. Or maybe you give them an assignment, they refuse to do the assignment. And let me tell you, the things that we as teachers see. And then there's the group of students that, would just do things, and then at the end of the day, they have to be suspended, for cheating, let's say, for example, or being indisciplined, beating, fellow students, bullying. Those are worth suspension. And sometimes when these kids are suspended and they come back, with their parents at school, you feel very sorry. It's like they don't understand where they're coming from. They don't appreciate it. They don't even see the need to want to get out of the situation where they are at home. Yes, I know that in the world we live now, people are kind of advanced that we only think of ourselves and we don't think of where we come from. And like the olden days where learning meant that you're like a source of light for your family. It's like you're the hope for that family. So when you're learning, you have that in the back of your mind. But I don't know why most students in, current times don't really see that. Your parents try. There are some parents who are so dedicated, honestly. But the students, mm-mm. And then I feel that there are some, effects of how students behave. It's mainly on the parents' side, the parents' fault, because we have parents who stay separately. They're maybe divorced or no longer living together, but they co-parent. And then maybe when the father wants to discipline, the mother doesn't see that the father is disciplining in the right way. So at the end of the day, this child is supposed to be disciplined in a certain way, but the mother does the opposite. And after doing that, this child will always know that if he or she does something, he always knows where to go and have an umbrella. So it's like the discipline won't be effective. And when you want to start disciplining those students in school, you can't, because they know that they always have a support system at home. And this brings conflict on the teacher's part and the parents' part. One parent is for this and the other is for this, and the teacher is also on the side, has to be on the side of the right. And if these three people don't come together to help that child, then that child is lost. So being a teacher, those are some challenges that I'd wish that parents also look at. Not everything is supposed to be the teacher's fault. So occasionally you'd find that some parents blame teachers for how their children are behaving. And I'm not saying, maybe sometimes their teachers who are on the wrong. It happens. But most times, the teacher always wants what's best for the child. But if the discipline doesn't come from home, how do you think the teacher is going to change that? And so I feel that the first place that a student should be able to learn being disciplined is the home. So it doesn't matter whether the parents stay together or they co-parent or they're in different areas, different parts of the world, but they have to ensure that how they're making that child to grow is something that they can be proud of, because whatever they instill is what will help us as teachers to also help correct the child. Some don't listen. So yeah, back to school is good. We love going back to school, but it comes with challenges, and there's no way out other than facing the challenges. But the main thing, I just wish that as parents to learn to discipline our babies. Yes, they are ours, but if we don't do well with them, then there's no point of taking them to school. It's not the responsibility of the teacher to teach your child what you're supposed to have taught them. Discipline will teach them what the curriculum wants, but discipline comes from you as a parent first. So when I say going back to school is hard, these are some of the challenges I wouldn't I hate facing. Personally, it's draining. It's hard. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What are some of the things you'd wish to know about teachers? I'd really love to give you insights of how we are able to handle classes and how this Form 1 thing is going to affect us as teachers. It has already started, by the way. See you tomorrow.